Welcome to Night Shift. Jeff Sharon, Kyle Nash, the student of the game, and Don Struble with you here on, we're a little bit late this week, Friday, or Wednesday, not Friday. Yeah, right. Friday already these weeks.
The king of wishful thinking, Jeff Sharon.
Well, here's why. Basketball's firing up. We had Basketball Media Day this week. Plus, we had football on the road. And then they're coming back home for West Virginia. We're going to preview that 1:00 kick on the 18th. And we'll talk a little bit at the end about men's and women's basketball media day, and two rosters that are very much in flux coming into this season. But we did meet with the players. We did meet with the coaches this past week. And both Don and Kyle, you guys will give your takes on that to start out. Make sure you follow us at blackandgoldbanneret.com, the home of UCF on SB Nation. We are on socials on X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Blue Sky, and of course our YouTube channel, which you can see right here, youtube.com/NightShift. Guys, let's dive in. Putting a bow on the Cincinnati game. 20-11 loss, which was one of the strangest UCF games I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
It was, if you show, remember what, like right after the game, I sent you guys the team stats, right? And I said, if I sent you this and I said, tell me who won the game, you would have been like, oh, UCF won the game. Like, it was obvious, right? The defense played well, right? The offense controlled the game. I mean, let's just put it out there. The offense controlled the game, except they couldn't attack downfield, and that's what ended up hurting their chances to really score the points they needed to in this game. So, Kyle, I want to start with you. Now that we've had some time to let this marinate, thoughts?
I mean, listen, I'm going to reiterate the phrase I coined on the Night Shift live podcast, talking to Stevie B and Eric Lopez about it. You got to score the damn football. And penalties, listen, I know it's cliche, and maybe I have a little bit of PTSD from covering the Jags on the Duval dive lately there too, where they went from having 4 penalties to 10 against the Seattle Seahawks, right? But you can't have this many penalties and expect to win a football game against a team that's as hot as Cincinnati has been. And if you're going to go on and have these long drives, now granted, Jeff, two drives in the game combined for 36 plays. Part of that was because they were committing penalties. I get that.
You know what the funny part is? Like in the box score, the penalties don't count as a play. Did you know that?
That's correct. They don't.
So there was like one of the 18 play drives. I think we looked at it. One of the 18 play drives, there were 3 penalties, which means it was actually a 21 play drive.
My point. It's still manufacturer plays in that you need more to get the first down. You see what I'm saying? So that when you go from, let's say a 3rd and 10 to a 3rd and 20 or even a 3rd and 15, you probably need another play to move the sticks. That's where I'm coming from. But you're absolutely correct. It's probably, we combine the two for the 36 plays. It could have been 40. That's a great point, Jeff Sharon. I get you. But yeah, score the damn football. And we could have a separate conversation about the not having the plays down the field. I think penalties were their own role in that. It felt like every time they did connect down the field, that was negated. I'm not going to go full ref conspiracy theory, but boy, howdy did they get a couple of just very unfortunate calls down the field where Cincinnati was allowed to drape themselves physically over a receiver with a face guard and no call happened. And when those are happening on 3rd downs, that's a momentum changer. I'm not here to say that the refs cost them the game. That's not accurate, but maybe a few plays here or there then makes the downfield threat a little bit more credible to the Cincinnati defense. They're forced to adjust. Maybe the run game gets real for 30 seconds. Maybe Miles Montgomery has more than one big play in the game after that. You see how it all could start to unfold. To your point, if just one big play, whether it's a completion or a penalty, is allowed to happen.
Yeah. What was the number that I was looking at? 3rd downs in this game before I get to you, Don. UCF was 7 of 18 and held the ball for 40 minutes. And they held Cincinnati 2 of 9. I mean, you talk about 3rd down and 3 of 6 on 4th down.
I was about to say, Jeff,
that's not bad. That's over 50% total conversion rate.
You got it.
So, Don, what do you make of this game?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, not mad at you for it, but you took the words out of my mouth there. Yeah, when you look at the conversion rate here, I mean, that is a lot of times going to be the separator in what will win you a game. And yeah, I mean, guys, like, when did UCF ever in the last season and even leading into this one lead their opponents by almost 20 minutes in time of possession? I mean, that's just absurd. And Cam Fancher,
like a reverse Heupel.
Yeah, seriously. And Cam Fancher,
all things as well. I mean, can we be honest?
Yeah. And Cam Fancher, all things considered, did not throw a terrible game. I mean, they had him throwing a lot, nearly 50 attempts. I mean, they were really like slinging the ball, especially when they needed to down late. Brendan Sorsby held at 12 of 21. The thing that's sticking out to me the most about this team is how hard they're playing, even if the discipline isn't always there. And Alex Grinch has this defense believing, and they are really leaning into their athleticism and their ability to make plays. But again, like, you can't go 10 for 75 with penalties. That's going to hurt you. I mean, I remember that early play over the top, that easy touchdown where the secondary got burned. It's those little things early on, but you can usually dig out of those kind of holes. But to Kyle's point, again, not trying to rile up a conspiracy theory here, but guys, I mean, there was situations where there were some very questionable calls going in favor of Cincinnati that will make someone scratch their head a little bit. And it doesn't always come down to that.
Yeah, I still think that, Cincinnati as a whole was, the aggressor for the game. But we held our own. I felt like that, if you're asking me, like, what is UCF right now at 3-3 in the midway point of the season, it's like a puzzle that's laid out on the table. And you can see all the pieces. You can see where they're supposed to fit. They're kind of lining up with like the colors and the shapes and all that kind of stuff, but they're not together yet. The mistakes that they made were fixable.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just a question of, do you fix them? A, and B, do you get some injury luck? Which takes us to the upcoming game, 1 p.m., October 18th, this Saturday on TNT for the first time ever. Your UCF Knights back at home for homecoming, facing the West Virginia Mountaineers. Two guys who are in the first year of their second stint at a school that they were arguably the most successful at. Rich Rodriguez back at West Virginia. They are transitioning hard this year, as we know. UCF obviously going through their own things, but right now, UCF, according to ESPN, a 72% chance to win the game. I'm looking at trying to look for the odds. Oh, there they are. 7.5-point spread in favor of UCF right now. 46.5 over under. I think the big question right now, Kyle, and I'll start with you, is who's coming back next week? Because, last week, obviously Cam Fancher got the start. Taven Jackson was on the questionable list. We'll find out more tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday, right? When the injury report comes out. But Taven was listed as questionable during game time. I think Scott Frost said afterwards he was the third quarterback. Right. Davie Belfort was actually the number 2 quarterback in case something happened to Cam.
That's right.
Any word on Taven and or Jakari Brown making it back possibly for this game?
Yeah, Jakari was not even on the list. That same trio so far.
He was on the list and then he got taken off because we thought it was because there was a possibility he could be, quote, active just like Taven was, because Taven got taken off the list at game time too.
You're taking me very literally. What I mean is from listening to Coach Frost, those same 3 players so far are the main focus. I'm not saying there's not a chance Jakari could come back, but the fact that Darby's gone up to QB2 this quickly means either Jakari's injury is much more debilitating, and let's put it as essentially a running back that's given the right to throw on occasion. His body and recovery are far more essential to his success in the event that he does take the field than anybody else. So I think there's something to be said for putting him on the shelf till he's 100%. Right. But here's what I'm going to say. You're going to ask me who I think starting. The question is, I don't know, because as much as I was beating the drum for the starting of Taven Jackson, what Cincinnati showed us is A, We got the best quarterback performance UCF has seen all year, period, whether we like it or not. And the gap between Cam and Taven is not as big as I would have first thought it was. Granted, limited sample size, you could see why I was miscalculating, perhaps. Would I prefer Taven to start? Sure. But if there's a scenario where you're waiting for him to get 100% to make sure you win Houston, and maybe you think you can beat Virginia and give a guy more rest, by the way. But I think the biggest thing that you want to make sure you can do is beat Houston and Oklahoma State to assure you get that bowl berth that keeps the dream alive for this group. And listen, the politics, air quotes, of your record matters more now than ever. If Scott Frost in year one can get UCF back to a bowl game, that's going to bring belief. That's going to bring dollars where you can, granted, limited as they are.
Practice days too.
Extra practice days you're talking about from a football standpoint, not a politics one, but it's an excellent point. It had developed some guys, develop a Taven Jackson a little bit more. It's a great point. But for what I'm saying is if Scott Frost can get in and get that bowl appearance, even if it's just here over at Exploria Stadium here in Orlando for the Cure Bowl, I don't care. That's the goodwill that Scott Frost needs to keep the honeymoon extended.
I don't care if they play the bowl game in my front yard. I mean, it's, you know,
I mean, you wouldn't have to fly to Shreveport or whatever. I get that.
I mean, we're going to have to bring some extra bleachers in, but, you know, Don, you're, you know, where do you see this shaking out in terms of personnel right now? Because we are hitting the part of the season where, like, the injuries, the nagging injuries that you don't always hear about become an issue.
Yeah, it's interesting, guys. I think that we're in a situation, I said this after the North Carolina A&T game, that this might not be the last we see of Cam Fancher or what they choose to do with quarterbacks. I didn't envision it playing out this way in terms of injury, but I do feel like I mentioned a tidbit that, like, health could play a factor. And yeah, I'm with Kyle. I mean, the things that Cam was able to do against Cincinnati, and I believe that this is a point I meant to make earlier, that scramble that where he evaded like 2 sacks and then just tossed it up and Dylan Wade somehow came down with it. That is emblematic of the effort, but bizarre IQ choices this team makes sometimes simultaneously, because realistically, that was not a great play, scrambling backwards and then just tossing it up. But they made it work due to effort. And I like Cam's effort, and I like what he can do in terms of mobility. Yeah, I don't think that the gap is as close with those two, but the overarching point, let me cut to the chase here. Yeah, personnel is going to matter. And this team has dealt with more than guys just getting banged up. I mean, like, you lose a Horace Lockett for the season. I mean, DBs have been banged up. You got guys like all over the field, and that's normal when you're going into week 7. It's crazy to think we're already here.
Amazing that we're like flying right past the fact that, I mean, as sad as it is to bring it up, UCF's lost their offensive line coach.
They did. No. This is a level of adversity.
It's important to remember that in the long-term memory, I think.
No,
it's
of course.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah. This is a level of adversity that no other FBS team, I believe, can say that they're going through. I mean, we would have heard about it by now if that was the case. Like losing Sean Clark and what he meant, not just from the X's and O's, but culturally to this program, just as a human. I mean, it cannot be understated. And guys, let's not forget, I mean, Scott Frost had to bring in a whole new staff and he got 70 transfers. Like, no one had like big, incredible expectations for the team when you have that kind of stuff stacking up against you.
Well, nobody reasonable anyway.
No, nobody reasonable. No. I mean, you're going to have plenty of unreasonable people out there. But this is a situation where, I mean, West Virginia is towards the bottom of the Big 12 in scoring offense. They only average 22 a game. And what do we know about UCF right now? The defense is playing solid. They're playing with their hair on fire in terms of effort.
Yeah, you were right. You were even without ours, and you were right about Alex Grinch, man.
Seriously,
he's I tell you what, not to coin a phrase here, Kyle Nash, but he is a mean one this year.
Yes, he is. He's got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
And I think that
give the dude
credit,
I had
to give the performance of the year at the midway point of the season to anyone, it is no doubt without a question Coach Grinch. For all of the vitriol he has had to deal with, and maybe some of it is reasonable, he has truly shown what a defense under him can look like in one of its best forms. Now, again,
yeah,
Like
I tell you, I just even if they get on the occasions when they get beat, which has happened. We saw it in the Cincinnati game.
Sure.
It wasn't that they were out of position.
No.
You know, I think Eric brought that up too. It's like, you know, they just some plays you just get got.
Some plays,
you
just get got.
And that's just one you just chalk up to. I think the reasonable people will look at the film, like you said, and just be like, and that one to them. You know,
what does the eye test show you?
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of good things from the eye test, despite a 3-game losing streak.
By the way, speaking of
take that, Brandon Walker.
I see what you're saying. By the way, speaking of units receiving vitriol, gentlemen, this offensive line being among them, I'm forced to compelled to remind the public out there, and I actually asked Cam Kinney about this on Monday during the presser, which you could see on the Night Shift podcast or Night Shift YouTube channel. Well, after the first 3 or 4 questions and said podcast focused on, or not podcast, presser focused on penalties, and rightly so, I asked Cam Kinney about the positives that you could actually absorb from having 2 drives worth 36 plays and dominating like that. I haven't seen an offensive lineman smile like that in a minute. And that's the kind of mentality you need going into a game like this, where a West Virginia team, listen, these poor Mountaineers can't keep their families fed with all the injuries on the list. What I will say is if you could dominate like that against a team like Cincinnati, who is certainly outplaying expectations, imagine how confident they'll be going into one that's well below them.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Sorry, Lucy is also, my dog is also screaming about how good, how much in favor she's in favor of Alex Grinch. So let's talk about this West Virginia game here. The 28 points per game, like you said, for UCF compared to just 17 for a Rich Rodriguez offense. Is that even real, Kyle?
This is what happens when injuries happen. Like we talk about injury luck. You act like UCF is injury lucky, having to go to switch quarterbacks how many times now? But West Virginia's going through it all the same in just the same fashion. So it's even worse for them. Yeah, man. Health's the thing, dude. And I'm not necessarily pro or anti Rich Rodriguez. I'm just saying nobody should be judged off of a year like that.
No, I agree. I mean, Rich is going to get that train back up and running. I feel just like Scott too. So you go ahead, Don.
No. I completely agree with all of that. Both of these coaches have their own adversity to deal with in their first years back at their former programs. And it puts you in a situation where all you can do is look ahead and see what you can do with the cards you've been dealt. I mean, they're 2 very parallel tracks here, obviously, differing circumstances, but all the same, you're in a position where it's like, well, all we can do is deal with the project and the obstacle that we have ahead of us. That's it.
Yeah. So 1 p.m. kick on the 18th, which is this coming Saturday, West Virginia, homecoming game for this one. And of course, it, like we mentioned before, it is going to be on TNT for the first time ever. UCF playing on TNT because they picked up part of the Big 12 contract, and it's going to be UCF's first time on this on Turner Network Television. That's with TNT. And we will have coverage for you as well on Night Shift Live after the game, as well as our live blog during the game as well on blackandgoldbanneret.com. All right. I want to shift gears now from this over to basketball and Media Day. So we had Media Day, both in the arena. Whole good thing we did, because there's a whole lot of new people we had to learn. But yeah, I want to start by talking ladies first. Let's talk about Satia Messer's team. They actually brought back more people, all things considered. But I'll start with you, Kyle, on this. Like, they actually have. You never really know what you've got until they go out there and play.
Mm-hmm.
But having some of those returning players, Kyle and Godu, for example, it at least gives you a little bit of something to work with here, right? I mean, I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic than maybe I might have been during the summer.
Sure, and what I think is interesting is compared to the men, the women seem to have their size issues accounted for, right? Kealan Godu, how far she's come since she's been a member of the Knights, and a Satia Messer, a full involvee, shall we say, right, throughout her entire tenure. Coach Messer's been at UCF here, right? So, having talked to her over and above her penchant for the show, The Boondocks, by the way, just the fact that she's returning to form and going to be that leadership role. Like, she was relatively quiet her first year, but now you could tell that she is prepared for a leadership role, and as a junior on the team, right? One of the few upperclassmen that are on the roster, certainly the only one that's a returner. But what I'm looking to just as much with Kyala is Mahogany Chandler Roberts. Listen, she is incredibly comfortable just from talking to her with what her role is and what it is she's talking about doing just as a sophomore, and to see that front court do the thing and be ready I'm encouraged from hearing the two of them talk overall. But see, that's the thing. Defense and grit has been a part of Satya Messer's message the whole time. She added a third element, Jeff, during her portion of Media Day, in specifically citing speed. That's new for me. It was very interesting to see that. And Summer Yancey, as a guard that's coming on, the returner, the only returner from the backcourt, is going to be a big element of that as well. So you're right. I think having those three is certainly going to be a big part.
Don, who impressed you the most out of that group?
Oh man, I gotta go with Ngodu. Like, she, first of all, like it was interesting to see a player so gracious about the media's presence, because she has so much to prove, and she feels the team collectively has so much to prove. So she was just happy that we were there, so she could give us an inside glimpse as to what this squad is capable of, and it's like, we heard it from Coach Messer, and she did a wonderful job explaining all the new pieces as well as the returners and how everything's going to fit together. But it just goes to show me that Ngodu, she's ready for a leadership role. And then to Kyle's point, you have Mahogany Chandler Roberts in that front court with her, helping to hold things down in the paint and in the post. And then you get a guard like Summer Yancey, who showed us flashes of greatness, and as someone who has succeeded at past programs, that's going to be taking over in that guard position. Like, they have the makings of a solid core, and it will be interesting to see how the new pieces fit around them. But I believe that trio can really improve this team from last season if the cards fall into place the right way.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I'm cautiously optimistic. What I'm really looking forward to is Leah Harmon.
Yeah, I was going to mention her.
Yeah. Not the least of which because she's from Patterson, New Jersey, which is 2 towns up from my hometown of Nutley. So, I mean, among other things, the fact that she's incredibly talented, came up here from Miami, 23 games off the bench last year with the Canes, and the Canes were very high on her coming in, and I'm excited to have her in the fold here at UCF. I want to hop over to the men's side. It seems unbelievable to say this. First year in a long time, we have not had Darius Johnson on the roster.
Yeah.
And that is a tremendous hole to fill. Let's give Kyle, I want to get your take on Johnny Dawkins, because I know the questions about that were asked. And, where does this roster kind of shake out in this? And it does feel like it's all new. I mean, he leaves a massive cultural hole behind, doesn't he, Darius Johnson?
Yeah, and matter of fact, I mean, listen, Darius Johnson, I have kind of a link with in the particular way, because he started the same year I started with the Banneret and started covering UCF basketball. So to see him move on is really weird for me to observe personally. But maybe that's what put me in position to ask the question of Coach Dawkins is, how do you account for that leadership? Do you do it? Are you fortunate to have a guy, or going full Moneyball, Jeff? Do you have it in the aggregate? And Coach Dawkins said it was in the aggregate, but it all starts with Themis on the court, right? Themis, folks, is going to be talking to him, his resolve, his poise, his calm, this humility, as he describes the way his leadership style is just exactly the kind of guy that you need in this situation. Is he Darius Johnson? I am not prepared to say that unless I see him, wave off one of these transfer centers like Darius Johnson did Shikenbake Zhong back in the day. But he's the right kind of mentality, I think, to help bring a group like this together. It's obvious why he's a captain.
Yeah, I like the fact that they brought him in along with JaMichael Stillwell, also from Milwaukee.
Yes.
Yeah, because those two guys, at least to start out, that kind of have. It's always good to have like a Butch
Chemistry.
Cassidy and the Sundance Kid kind of thing going on, right? Like okay, we have these two guys together. They can at least show show the other guys what they plan to do, what their roles are together on the court, and then everyone can kind of fit in around that. Don, who stood out to you, and what's your outlook right now?
Yeah, I believe it is Themis. I mean, what a nice guy, and what a personable character he possesses. And it's one of those things where he was drawn to UCF the moment that they played here last season when he was a member of Milwaukee.
That's
and
right.
He believes that they should have won that game. So it just goes to show like his level of confidence and to Kyle's point, resolve. And I think that the pairing of him and Stillwell will be huge for this team because, as Coach Dawkins mentioned, it brings instant chemistry to the team, and that can perpetuate outward to the rest of the squad. Again, guys, we got to mention the hometown kid, Riley Kugel.
Here's the next one I was going to bring up. I'm really excited about Riley.
This kid was serious at Dr. Phillips High School, and he comes to this team with SEC experience. He knows what the big stage feels like. He understands what needs to be done in a great basketball conference to win, and he's ready to play and switch 1 through 5 to get it done. And Coach Dawkins has all the confidence in the world. He's going to do that. And guys, as a whole, this team got so much bigger and athletic. No more of the small ball stuff here. This team is big and lanky, and they are buying into the kind of identity that Coach Dawkins prefers and what has led the Knights to success during his decade of tenure here at the university. And so I think that we are going to see a return to form and identity for Coach Dawkins with this new squad that is going to be beneficial.
We are going to roll out our basketball coverage over the next week or so. We're rolling out some of the YouTube videos of our interviews with those players on both the men's side and the women's side. And of course, the press conferences with the coaches, which you can already see on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/KnightShift UCF. Just a reminder for everybody, the exhibition season for both teams. The women's team plays Edward Waters Tuesday, October 28th. 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, in fact. And the men's team, they play at Duke at Cameron Indoor. This is an exhibition game, but it's at Duke, Johnny Dawkins' old haunt, on Tuesday, October 21st. In that exhibition, 7 p.m. at Cameron Indoor. If you're a UCF Knight in the Triangle area, you might want to go check that out. Home exhibition Sunday, October 26th against LSU at noon.
It's a big slate.
And so that should be, boy, Duke and then LSU in the exhibition. That's a shame. That's not on the non-exhibition schedule. I mean, I would have taken it either way. I mean, shoot, yeah, I'll go up and play Duke in the opener. Let's go. And we'll be rolling out our basketball preview stuff in the meantime. Like, we're going to aim for in between those exhibitions and the start of the regular season, just so that we can study up a bit and actually see what we got on the floor for a little bit. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. I mean, basketball season already, man. Here we go.
That's so fast.
I know. All right. So let's wrap this thing up here. So again, don't forget, Saturday, we got UCF West Virginia. We'll be covering that 1 o'clock kickoff. Live blog will be on about an hour and a half before that with the injury report. And then we will have Night Shift live after the game. Keep an eye out on Nightcap. Shout out to all of our interns who've contributed mightily to Nightcap, along with Bryson Turner, Cassie Mills, Stephen Brown, Bree Salamanca have been doing a fantastic job. Check out Night Shift, or the Nightcap rather, on blackandgoldbanneret.com for all the latest. Follow us on Night Shift UCF on YouTube. Follow blackandgoldbanneret.com for all the latest from UCF sports, including the feed, where we have some of the latest stuff coming out from all sports UCF. We are on Twitter. We are on X. That's the same thing. We're on X and Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and Blue Sky as well. Look us up there as well. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the evening, and I'll see you guys on Saturday. All right?
That you shall.
This has been Night Shift for Don Struble and Kyle Nash. I'm Jeff Sharon. Go Knights, charge on. See you Saturday for UCF and West Virginia.